I'm here once again, and I'm dealing, I'm feeling the pain. So who takes the fall again? Come with me. Come with me. Wrong. It creeps on back through color glass, through color glass.
Begins to fade now, and I feel like I'm losing time, but I don't know how I'm here. The sunlight has turned to gray, and I feel like I'm losing love again. I don't know how I'm here. know now we're getting older. The world we built is slipping through our fingers. We're running out of time. But you are the one I've chosen, and I won't lay still, living left behind, imprisoned by this love. I can feel your heartbeat. I can feel somewhere you're looking now. I can feel your heartbeat.
Prepare for battle.
T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 0.
The battle begins.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2v2 DOTAMech Tournament, brought to you by OPTVLive. I am Steve, and I am thrilled to be bringing you the finals, folks. That is right. This is the finals, the two best teams of the night. And they rightfully deserve to be here. We have seen these teams play all night. These two teams have outplayed every other team that's been here so far. And they, without a doubt, deserve to be here. We have our team Swag2DaMax, the Big Boss, and BelligerentFool teaming up once again. Brothers in arms. Can they outplay Team RustyAF, consisting of Turkleton and Valinor? I know I keep making a deal out of it, folks, but it is a big deal. Mimo and Ark joining forces tonight for, as far as I know, the first time ever in a stream tournament. That alone is so much hype, like you have no idea. Turkleton bringing out the Sky Eyes. First time we've seen them in the tournament today. Sky Eyes recently got massive amounts of changes in the most recent patch. They now have great radar range, but more importantly, they don't show up on the enemy radar. BelligerentFool Big Boss having massive lag spikes. Hopefully this gets sorted out, so that way they have a great match. But that is some significant pings, and yes, you would expect them to be virtually identical because they are brothers, they are in the same home. As far as we know, they're sitting side by side. Potentially the lag might have been too much for the Big Boss on that one, going down to all that neutral fire. Meanwhile, his brother BelligerentFool still trying to bring in the Buckies. We've got Buckies on one side, tanks on the other. It's like dogs and cats living together. It's just insane. Which one is more strong? Which one is more OP? Is it the tanks? Is it the Buckies? You know what, folks? I've got to favor the tanks. Especially when you've got a combination of mechs that Team Rusty picked of the Paladin and the Helix. Paladin great on the ground. Oh, but he has to get up in the air. He stays too long in the air. No support from Valinor, and he does get taken down by Big Boss, even though Big Boss would have been close to death himself. Had Valinor realized that, he could have easily taken out Big Boss and most likely have both kept his teammate alive as well as got the extra kill. It could slightly be the lag that is completely throwing these guys off. As you see, we've completely caught up to them in real time already, only less than 1 minute into the game. Valinor, close to death, makes it over to the outpost. Ooh. BigBoss, BelligerentFool, stop all your downloads. You can download your naughty videos after the tournament. Right now, devote all your internet power to the tournament. Come on, everyone. Get in the chat and tell BelligerentFool and BigBoss to stop downloading their prawn stuff. Shame on them. Unfortunately, this is not getting better. Ah! This has been, though, like I said, I really do hope the lag sorts itself out, folks, because I've been wanting to see these two teams go head-to-head ever since I realized they were going to go up. Valinor, close to death, is going to try to go down on the ground, but he's not able to get out. Seeker missiles actually find him, but BelligerentFool close to death. Can Turkleton get a revenge kill on both these players? BigBoss going to the ground using the heal ability. He will keep BelligerentFool alive. Turkleton cannot find the kill on either area. Out of energy. As I said, that is both the good and the bad part of the Repair Guardians at the same time. They help to keep you alive, but if you're significantly damaged with low energy, it can really hold you back. However, Paladins may be one of the best mechs to use the Repair Guardians with, because they do have a decent amount of energy storage, and really nothing that they have uses energy. So, it's better as far as combining a Repair Guardian with. And I can see exactly why Turkleton would have actually went with that as his choice. But right now we are still completely focused on this mid-battle. All four players have not devoted any other alternate strategy. They're not building up units on the side. They're not prepping up for some sort of sneak attack or anything. I'm actually surprised with the fact of how much focus there has been in this mid-battle, that with these four players here, that not one of them, Valinor close to death, he's going to go up and down trying to Viking dance. Turkleton trying to come in to keep his teammate alive. Can he do it? He cannot. BelligerentFool finds the opening, is able to take out Valinor. That is now that is first official blood right there. All deaths up to that point have been mainly inflicted by the players themselves, but neutral units or enemy units were able to get those final hits in. So there we go. Almost 3 minutes into the game for our true first blood. So many Bucky missiles. Those Bucky missiles overwhelming Turkleton, even with the Paladin, even with the shield in front of him. Those missiles are just too much, and he can't stay. It turns out that it looks like that this strategy of all these Buckies so far are actually working for Fool and Boss. 19 total Buckies out on the field, 6 Seeker backup support, 4 Flackers. That is a lot of stuff. Turkleton's so close to death, he's just chilling for a moment. Okay, he's actually trying to let that auto repair go in. I thought maybe for a moment that a connection issue was going on with everything the way it is right now, but nope, he was just letting in. If you do not know, if you're newer to AirMech, what you have to do is, if you're damaged and you want to try to survive, you have to land on the ground and then stay still. You cannot move, you cannot shoot for 3 seconds. It takes 3 seconds for the auto repair subroutines of your mech to kick in and start repairing your mech on its own without being over an outpost or an osprey or anything to that effect. So, if you're moving or even if you're shooting or anything, that auto repair subroutine will not kick in. And you will go down. BelligerentFool, I thought he was going to chase Valinor down. Valinor's so close to death. BelligerentFool in that Neo, which could have chased down a Helix, but maybe he just didn't realize quite how low Valinor was. Meanwhile, they do have this secondary Bucky's platform on the side trying to shoot him, but they've got the neutral tank from one side, Turkleton from the other side. I've never seen so many Buckies in a finals. especially a finals. I shouldn't say that. Not that I haven't seen it, but I've seen them being used as efficiently as they're being used. Most times, if you see the Buckies coming out, honestly, a lot of people will just get a laugh. It's like, oh yeah, Buckies, haha. But the way that Boss and Fool are working together to use those Buckies, so far, it's been working for them. Valinor, Turkleton have not been able to find the ground that they need. They've not been able to do much of anything. I still don't find it interesting that neither one of these teams are preparing any sort of secondary strategy. Whether it's for the fact that they just know that, they might wind up losing this mid-battle, or the fact they could use it almost as a distraction. But just something to take the focus off the mid-area. If one of these two teams, maybe especially like Fool and Boss, is the fact that they've got the Buckies, those are light, fast units. They could just build up a few of them, launch them out towards an outpost, use them as a distraction, so that way then they could really focus down this middle area. But they are still coming out on top anyway. Look at the upkeep, folks. 70-48 in favor of Team Swag2DaMax. We finally got somebody doing something here. Turkleton putting in some pressure on this upper power station. Bringing in 2 tags. Valinor coming in with support. Bringing in 3 creeps in our artillery cannon. I think that was probably a missed pickup by Valinor. I'm sure he meant to get the 4 creeps. Instead, probably he picked up the artillery cannon and maybe didn't realize it. He doesn't have enough creep to take it over. Turkleton's still trying to make sure that this outpost does not go back. Valinor needs to try to go pick up more creeps and come in to help out right here. Turkleton is almost taking out all the tanks, but Big Boss is here with the creeps. He drops off 4. He drops them off on the complete opposite end of the outpost, making it impossible for Turkleton to try to block or kill at least one of them before they go in. The outpost goes back under blue team's control, and now it's just mop-up. The only thing, hopefully, that could have worked out was during this fact that both Fool and Boss responded. Was Valinor able to take some sort of advantage here? Did he gain some ground? And taking a look at it, I hate to say it, but no, it doesn't really look like he did. He's still there, still at 47 upkeep, 73 over on the blue team. Turkleton getting down there. That Paladin is not invincible. Sometimes people overestimate the Paladin and how much survivability he has. BelligerentFool lays down Stasis Blast. With that Stasis Blast, that means Turkleton cannot get up in the air unless he decides to fall off a ledge. But Valinor there to support. Helix Rockets, Heavy Flacker support. He gets his teammate out alive, but at what cost? The units are taking a pounding. Big Boss now on bombing runs. Because right now, the Buckies aren't doing enough damage fast enough. The artillery's not doing damage fast enough. So Big Boss has decided to just do flat-out egg bombs. Drop them stinky eggs onto the units. And that is a lot of smoke, folks. That is a lot of smoke. If Team Rusty is not careful, they're going to lose a tremendous amount of their forces all through a few tiny hits. Because that's just way too much black smoke and fire coming out. They're losing it all. They're all going down. Big Boss's bombing runs have been successfully working. He's pulling up those extra units for fire support. Now that he's cleared out enough portion of the tanks, he feels he can leapfrog those tanks forward, let them inflict the damage, force them to retreat, use the heal ability, heal beam, heal auras. However, Big Boss, that was a big oversight on his part. He already took a lot of damage, and yet he still flies in and over. Going down to a flacker. 3 total deaths on the blue team side. 4 total deaths on the green team side. Very close in the deaths, but as far as the map control goes, this is starting to shift heavily in favor. Oh! Double kill at the same time. BelligerentFool takes out Valinor and then instantly dies to that heavy flacker. Turkleton here by himself. but he realizes that it's just too much ground is lost, too much units have been lost, no ratchets are left to keep those units alive, no jammers are in place. He's just going to pick up his units and try to pull them back before he loses too much. Big Boss back in the game. Bombing runs. More units smoking and on fire. Big Boss wants to take out that tank. Cannot destroy it fast enough. He misses out on that opportunity. Meanwhile, over here, Valinor having to deal with a single tank, most likely being sent in as a distraction. But hey guys, distraction's OP. If a single tank can cause one of your enemies to have to completely pull themselves off the front line to respond, giving you the opportunity to maybe overwhelm the other player, that's a good thing. That's a good investment. It's not good if you have to spend a tremendous amount of tanks to just distract somebody, but a single one, yeah, that's not too bad. Turkleton close to death again. Can he get out? BelligerentFool chasing him down, but Turkleton will survive. Get back into the game. Bertha cannons coming out on the field. If Green Team can hold this, that Bertha cannon could completely turn the tide of the battle. Because Buckies are incredibly fragile to those Bertha cannons. They can get off a few good shots. They could wipe out a lot of this. Right now, you know though what probably Green Team is thinking? They're probably thinking, why don't we have Aegis? With so many missiles all over the place, as you can see, neither one of them can do anything. BelligerentFool, Big Boss completely taking advantage of the extra range of the missiles. Even though, especially on Buckies, they don't have a high hit percentage. There's a lot of inaccuracy in them. But even so, they're still just overwhelming with just the sheer numbers of it. 24 Buckies with 7 Seeker support is more than enough to keep Valinor and Turkleton out of the area. Another kill under BelligerentFool's belt. Valinor saying, yo, this leg is actually insane. No argument there at all. It has been pretty insane. You guys have been playing like true champs through all of this. That we have to give you huge amounts of props for, because you guys have been playing like a champ on gameplay that is incredibly difficult to truly manage. If any of you have played AirMech and ever been in a match where one of the players are incredibly laggy, keep in mind it's not AirMech itself that is causing the lag. The game itself is incredibly efficient. The lag comes down to the fact of the type of system that AirMech uses. The benefit of it is that it avoids hackers. So when you lose to somebody, you know every single time you lose, it's just the fact that the other team played better. AirMech in a multiplayer game cannot be hacked. The drawback of it is that you are at the mercy of every single player in there, and all it takes is one player to have a slight lag issue to ruin the game for everybody. But you know what, folks? If that's what it takes in order to know that no one is there using, invincibility hacks or wall hacks or credit hacks or unit building hacks or whatever the case is, it's a small price to play. And that's what makes AirMech a true competitive esport game, because you know that if you lose, it's strictly because the other team outplayed you. There's no other way. The main force, a lot of it has been eliminated at this point. 17 total Buckies on the battlefield. A lot of them still sitting here and are now kind of getting mopped up. The creeps now, because we are 9 minutes into the game, we are looking at higher level creeps. Those creeps alone aren't doing enough damage to inflict something. However, we've got Buckies on the base. The Buckies are on the base. But now we get to see, in a situation like this where the Buckies are no longer worrying about units or mechs, how just a single paladin alone can very quickly take out these Buckies. However, they're still not, because of how many Buckies came in, the way that they're spread out, even though Turkleton will eventually take these Buckies out, there will be pretty significant damage done to this fortress. He's trying to get them out. There is one Gemini in the mix, and it's just so much that in the end we are going to be looking at about 50% base damage from not too significant of an overall push. I mean, you guys saw there wasn't that many units considering. Not really. That was a lot of damage that was done in relative comparison to the amount of units that actually went to the base. But now this comes the real part right here. We're at 60 to 50. Blue team has lost a lot of their units. They now only have 9 Buckies out on the battlefield. Can this be the opportunity that Team Rusty needs to get back into this, retake some of the map, push Team Swag back up against the wall, and still secure themselves a win? BigBoss coming in, dropping off those troops, expecting the fact that the Buckies were going to have done more damage to this outpost than it really did. That wasn't the case. The only unfortunate thing right now for Team Rusty is the fact that they only have this one Bertha cannon, and that's it. Okay, speaking of that, the second Bertha cannon finally comes out. Third one now being built. This is what they need. With enough Bertha cannon support, with proper jamming support, and enough units to absorb additional damage, those Bertha cannons could potentially start to completely turn the tide of everything. Look at that, guys. One hit, it does so much damage everywhere. The only thing that they have to do is keep BigBoss out of there. That Osprey can really mitigate a lot of that damage. That's why they need those extra Bertha cannons online. 2 in is already starting to make the difference. Look at how much difference the damage is. All those units heavily smoking now. Realizing that something needs to be done. BigBoss realizes, you know, we've done about half damage. There's too much Bertha cannon coming in here. We need to at least distract them or do some additional damage. They're going to use the same strategy they used in the semifinals to secure themselves some wins by using those massive carry capacity of the Osprey to get the tanks in. He will not get out of this unless it's unbelievable flying, which I did not think he would. I would have been impressed immensely if somehow he would have got out of that alive. However, there is significant damage now to Green's base. That is about 35% of the base health left, and that's it, versus Blue base, which is essentially untouched this entire match. A lot is riding on these 4 Bertha cannons. We do have 4 out on the battlefield now. With these 4 Bertha cannons and nothing to really answer it on Team Swag's end, these Bertha cannons could potentially turn everything. These Bertha cannons are going to force the blue team to do one or two things. Either stay here devoted to just healing these units non-stop, replacing them and bringing out tons and tons of ratchets as well, or force them to push those units out before they're ready to push, because if they keep them there long enough, they'll just eventually be just, through attrition of just a constant burst of fire, they will be wiped out guaranteed. It's already happening. Green team out-producing blue team for the first time in this game. The green team's upkeep 4 points higher than the blue team. A 5th Bertha cannon is 1.5 seconds away from coming out on the battlefield as well. BigBoss, BelligerentFool having to pick up their units, trying to pull it out of the range of the Bertha cannons. However, they're also starting to clump them. If they can actually, if the green team can take advantage of the clump and aim all those Bertha cannons into the clump, that could very quickly wipe out everything. Right now, green needs to get here. They need to realize where the units are, and they need to readjust all those Bertha cannons right now. Valinor did just do a flyby. They need to be careful. They need to not lose any outpost control, but at the same time, they do desperately need. Man, that's a lot of drops being in here, but fortunately, Valinor and Turkleton, they prioritized the creeps. But it wasn't enough. They tried to let me rephrase that. They tried to prioritize the creep, but they couldn't get it done fast enough, and now blue has control of this outpost. They are out deploying units. They are out damaging the units. They are gaining this control. This is very, very bad for the green team. They needed to not lose that kind of ground. They need to re-get this back, but they need to get it back while still focusing on this at the same time. One of them needs to come in. They need to pick up all those Bertha cannons, and they need to do exactly what Valinor is doing right now. Get them exactly there in the proper firing range, and then let the Bertha cannons do their job. Once they're in the right position, you don't need to be there to monitor them. Let them do their job. And then you can completely focus on taking over this outpost back before you want it with a situation like this, where they're just going to continue to drop you. Because now they have such a close outpost. They can just pick up cheap-built units like these Buckies and just try to drop them and drop them and drop them. Now, the Buckies, at this point, they're not going to do too much. They would be better off dropping in Geminis. But even so, it is very, very dangerous right now. Blue team feeling like, you know what, we may not be able to hold on to this forever. The green team is starting to build up an entire line of units right here. We need to do something quick. They push out and they do the best strategy, folks. This is how you get your units past. You notice the fact that they dropped one Seeker right in the middle of everything, folks? That was 100% on purpose. You may ask, why would somebody do that? You know, you're just throwing a unit away. And the answer to that is yes, you are throwing one unit away. But because that unit is so close to the tanks, that the game AI subroutines prioritize targets that are closer. By dropping that one Seeker in the middle, that means all those other tanks that were there in that defense will ignore the train of tanks coming through. Because they're all worried about that one Seeker, and they got to slowly rotate their turrets, get target lock, fire, and then slowly rotate their turrets back to try to get that moving tank line, which now has already done a lot of damage to your own defenses. And this could be overwhelming. I do not think that green team is going to be able to survive this. There's just too many tanks here, too much mech support going on, ferrying all over the place. It was a valiant try, but in the end, ladies and gentlemen, it will be Swag2DaMax taking game one in this best of 3 series. Can Team Rusty learn from this game and come back stronger and win game 2, pushing this out to a full 3-game series? Or will Team Swag take this in a quick 2-game sweep?